So I was recently being interviewed on a podcast, panel of people all working in the different thinker world. And the host asked a great question. What was one of the biggest things that changed your life and had the greatest impact? Typically those types of questions, he didn't give it to us in advance, so they might sandbag me and brain might go blank and I have to think about it for a while. I didn't this time. This time the answer jumped out absolutely right away. And it was great. The thing that had the greatest impact on my life was that I believed what other people told me about who I was as a person. And it transformed the 5-year-old me, who was courageous and strong and exuberant, into a human being filled with fear, believing she had no value, thinking she was really stupid. I believed all of the adult fears that were around in my life. I believed all of their doubts, all of their worst case scenarios about my life. If you have never read my blog about being in grade school and deciding I wasn't going to end my life because I didn't know that was an option, that will tell you how much I believed I did not belong in this life, in this moment. All of that fear cost me years and years of my life feeling like that. I lived in shame, fear, denial, embarrassment, and anger. I just couldn't get to the root of it all until I did one day, after years of putting in all of the healing work. The biggest challenge was when I realized that I had swallowed their beliefs as my truth as I went through the discovery process, which is ongoing, and starting to give people back their stories, metaphorically speaking. I literally journaled and wrote out and never mailed them. And I would burn these letters in my fire pit in the backyard. I would schedule time to talk on the phone, literally physically holding a phone with no one on the line. But I would speak out my truth to these as though those people were there, as though the teacher was right there and I was talking to them. It was like I'd found a whole new person inside myself who had been locked away as a prisoner. And the prisoner was conforming to be loved and accepted. That is what was keeping me prisoner. There were no chains or bars. It was that desire to be loved and accepted. When I stopped needing other people to validate my worth, acceptance, and to love me all the time, that's when I started to experience my own humanity, grace, and love for myself. I recently was writing about Amelia Earhart, and about how I think she probably and quite possibly would now qualify to be a different thinker. And probably she showed signs of ADHD and autism as far as I'm concerned. And I wondered, had she been labeled that, would it have limited her? Would she have taken on beliefs of the society and the world at that time that may have completely taken her out of the game of being such an incredible inspiration to so many people and for being one of the first women pilots at that level? I don't know. But I have to guess it probably would have. Could it have also helped her to have understood that? Yes, I think there are some things about understanding that about her brain that would have been helpful. But it's all about the framing and how that information is shared and what you do with that information. So I have a great quote that I wrote this week. It said, "Some people will tell you who you are and you will believe them. And some people will tell you who you are and it will remind you of who you are." And that is the place I want you to come from. When people speak something to you, you can feel it and you go, no. You've just reminded me who I am, and it is not that. So when you've been raised in spaces of lack of, by people who are harmed or abused as children and do not have access to the tools to heal, they pass that trauma on, which I see very often in my work. It's not only the different thinking, it's a variety of trauma from adults that have been broken and have not had the opportunity to heal. And when that happens, we lose who we are because we are too young to fight back. We just don't know. And these people are trusted to care for us. And when you add to that our neurodiversity, which I just talked about, and society's confusion about how we best educate and guide us, well, you end up with confused adults who don't really know who they are or what they want. They just know that they want to not be in pain. So I'm at a place now, and this is why I want to talk about it, in my life for the most part, where when people try to tell me who I am, my body knows when they are not right. And I hear that now. Often their comments about my spelling, my goals, my beliefs, about what I can do, being late. Their other judgments just remind me I am a strong, positive way, who I am. I can live with that. I'm a person who often struggles with spelling. Yep. I'm a person who is late to meetings at times. I am a big dreamer and a business owner. I am a different thinker, and it is going to be confusing for others at times. They're not going to understand when I talk about autism and ADHD and dyslexia and all that, and look at me and go, but you're really successful. You're living a life I wish I was living. It's not going to mesh. They will be confused. That's not my problem. That's for them to figure out. I know I need to hire people for my weaknesses to help make me stronger. I know these things. I take action in those places. If you can relate to this, I would love to hear your story. I really, really would. I would love to know more about that. Do you know who you are at your core? Can you put it in words, and will you fight for it? That's what I want to know. If you are really confused, exhausted, not heard, lonely, not sure what to do next, I am so sorry you are there right now. And I so get it. And I promise you, you can get this figured out, and you can start to live the amazing life you are meant to be living, your life, your way, at the core of who you are. So feel free to ask me any questions. I hope this talk has inspired you in some ways, has brought up some information, has got you asking some questions. Please DM me, leave comments. I want to hear more. I really have one huge goal in this life, and that is for all different thinkers to give back the stories other people told them about who they were, how they were going to succeed, and what their life was going to turn out like. And I want them to start living out the life that they were meant to be living. I want them to start writing their own stories as who they really, really are. So I can't wait to hear from you about this topic. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm Joy Gina, International Neurodiversity Coach, taking leaders to that next level, especially the different thinkers out there that are changing the world. Bye now.